Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. 2023, it is Thursday, May the 4th. It is the 26th day of the Easter season. It is also Thursday of the 4th week of Easter. Coming to you once again from our courtyard here at the Franciscan School, just after morning prayer has concluded. And today, because it is the month of May and the month of our Blessed Mother Mary, we have, and the sun is right in my eyes, today we have crowned Mary and brought all kinds of flowers, flowers the fairest for Mary, as the song goes. So our second graders led us today in the crowning of the statue of Mary, which always stands at the front doors of our school here at the Franciscan School, and all of the classes got together and brought flowers in to be placed in front of Mary today. So honoring Mary, our mother, Queen of Heaven, and Jesus' mother in this month of May. Though this is still the Easter season, and on this Thursday of the 4th week of Easter, Acts of the Apostles continues, and we missed Acts of the Apostles reading yesterday because it was the Feast of Philip and James, the Apostles. In that reading, I believe, it is Saul becomes Paul. He changes his name, again, as another mark of his transformation from being a persecutor of the Christians now to being its greatest of missionaries and its greatest of disciples. So we have we have Paul now opening up this part of Acts today. And again, everybody's on a journey. They're going all around the Eastern Mediterranean. An apostle named John, or one of the followers named John, goes back to Jerusalem. Is this John the Evangelist? Is it another John? Never ever clear, but it's there. But Paul continues on going to Antioch. Now, again, this is where where on Tuesday's gospel, some of the apostle Barnabas is there in Antioch. Is he there with Paul? Again, you have overlapping trips, to Antioch, it seems. And so, but Paul is there, and he goes to one of the synagogues. And if anybody has anything to say, the synagogue official says, "Well, get up and say it." And so Paul does. And Paul basically gives a whole outline and narrative of salvation history, so that everybody will know that Jesus is the one who has been destined by all the prophets and by everything that God has promised, and that he is in direct line with David. Now, again, Luke is the author of Acts, and so the connection between his gospel and Jesus's genealogy there, and what Luke and what Paul narrates in Acts of the Apostles, again, is this kind of interesting connection. It ends with talking about John the Baptist, and echoing the words that Luke uses in his gospel at the appearance of the Baptist. If you think that I'm the Messiah, no, there is one coming after me who is greater. Again, the whole connection that Paul begins to try to make. And again, if Paul is a scholar, again, a part of the Pharisaical group in ancient Jerusalem, and as a scholar, he would know something about the history of Judaism. And so it becomes more this educated kind of proof, this educated kind of evidence that Jesus is who he says he is, and that God has fulfilled God's promises through him. Remember, the apostles are fishermen, a tax collector here and there, a zealot every now and then, but not necessarily educated men. Paul now becomes the one to try to present a kind of an educated, rational, maybe even reasonable sort of sense, understanding of who and what Jesus is and what he comes to bring. And again, linking that to Judaism, linking that to God's promises, not something that's new, not something that's nuanced, but something that is all in line with what it is that God has said God would do. In John's Gospel, the readings that we get in the Gospel for John during this Easter season are those that are at the Last Supper. Some of that we hear in Lent, but it's kind of now echoed again in different ways in the Easter season. And here we pick up where Jesus has finished washing the apostles' feet, and basically saying that no servant is greater than his master, and that can be acts of service, not just to be heard, not just to be listened to, but it must be things that we do. We must be, again, this care that we show for each other, this love that we show for each other, this sense of openness of heart and of mind to each other marks us as different in this world, and different in this world in an important way, because it shows the world model that life is not about competition. It isn't about trying to one-up each other. It isn't trying to overpower or overwhelm each other, but it is working with each other and helping each other's dignity to shine forth and become bright, in this world. Again, to the darkness and the dreariness of this world, comes that light of Christ. And that light of Christ is always furthered by the light that we, in our own witness, in our own practices of the faith, in our own putting faith into action and living faith as an integral part of our lives, further that light and allow that light to touch the corners of the earth where it is most in need. To remember that, again, Jesus tells his apostles to remember that at the Last Supper in this Easter season. He gives us the courage to be able to be that, because life is renewed, life is transformed with Jesus' resurrection, and the possibilities for us to become the people that God has created us to be once again looms large and allows and it waits for us to receive and accept it. A continued blessed Easter season, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.